How long have you watched anime, Matt?
Okay. Let's start this. Actively know that I'm watching, or have just like the first one that I watched.
That's the line, right? Because
Yeah.
as a kid, I watched things like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, but I didn't know that they were anime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've knowingly watched anime for about 20 years.
So I would say probably about the same. I was
Yeah.
about 9 or 10 when I officially learned when it was anime, and for me that was
Yeah.
Naruto.
For me as well. The first anime I ever watched knowing it was anime was Naruto. Yeah. In fact, I started Naruto so early that where it was in the anime was the beginning of the Chunin exam.
Yeah, give or take. I remember
Yeah.
coming home from school watching Naruto and everybody, the Gaara and Rock Lee fighting in the middle.
But we've both been watching it for the best part of 2 decades.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So we've both seen a lot of anime. But what's your favorite? That's the question. What's your favorite? So let's find out with your top 10 favorite anime, my top 10 favorite anime, and we'll see how our lists compare.
Okay,
How's
okay.
that sound?
That
Yeah?
sounds good to me.
All right. Well, I should preface this with there won't be any spoilers. There won't be any spoilers here. We're just saying what our favorites are and why they're our favorites without spoiling anything. And also, just because these are in our top 10 doesn't mean we think these are the 10 best. This is just our 10 favorite.
Oh yeah,
Right.
oh yeah.
They may not even be the best of their genre, in our opinion. These are just the 10 that we like the most. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shall I kick things off?
Yeah.
Amazing. Right. Before I begin, honorable mentions. Right. This list was exceptionally hard to make. I've watched anime for 20 years. There's a lot of anime that's amazing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Honorable mentions to Naruto, for example. Honorable mention. Yes, it was my first anime, but it doesn't make my top 10. Cowboy Bebop, Bakuman, One Punch Man, Full Metal Alchemist. These all nearly made the list, and there's loads more that nearly made the list. But 20 years worth of watching, it's hard to make a top 10. But-
It's a rabbit hole.
It is a rabbit hole. It is a rabbit hole. It's absolutely a rabbit hole. Right. My number 10 is Your Lie in April.
Okay.
Your Lie in April. It's one of the few anime to make me cry my eyes out.
Really, I've heard it's a happy-go-lucky, cheery anime.
Oh, it's so happy. Such a happy, cheery-go-lucky anime until it stabs you in the chest 50 times and makes you cry and cry. Your Lie in April is an amazing anime. It genuinely is. And like the Twisty McTwist that happens is such a gut-wrenching moment. It's incredible. It's a fantastic anime. It's got music, it's got romance, it's a slice of life. It's a true slice of life.
I've heard so much about it. I tried watching it, and then my attention span didn't hold. I need to go back and try it again, because I keep hearing so much about it.
It's very, very good. Just be prepared for something. It's not action packed. If you like quick things happening, it's a slow burn. It is a slow burn. There's a lot going on. But it will give you like a nice sort of like refreshing cry towards the end. But I'd put that as my number 10. My number 9 goes way back to my youth, my first couple of years of watching anime. Black Lagoon.
Okay.
It's
That's
a
like a
phenomenal
2008, 2009?
Oh, something like that. It's one of the first ever anime I watched. It's also the first like genuinely like gory and action-packed anime that I ever watched. Like looking back at Black Lagoon, I'm like, if this had been on television, my parents would have never let me watch. There's just something about early days of anime where you're watching stuff online. It's like, oh, it's a cartoon. He's fine. I was not fine. Black Lagoon is so action-packed and fun, but there is so much gore, blood, violence. It's at times it's a psychological thriller, right? There's just so much like the twins and everything and all that kind of thing. It's so trippy at times. It's very violent, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. If you like hardcore action sort of shows and you've not seen Black Lagoon, I couldn't recommend it more. It's 2 seasons, I think, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, even though it's the early 2000s, I also think it still maintains that like 90s anime crunch.
Yeah, Yeah, it's still back when they're hand drawing everything. It's you can tell it's old. I rewatched it recently. You can tell that it's old, but it's still a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. My number 8 is actually by the creators who were in my honorable mentions. My number 8 is Death Note.
Okay. I've watched most of Death Note. I've read Death Note.
So I've not read it, but I've watched it. I want to get the manga.
Okay.
I want to get the black edition.
Yes.
I want to get that so badly. But Death Note is one of those where I would rate it higher, and there would be people going, "Why is it only number 8?" I'll tell you why it's only number 8, because it falls off a cliff at a certain point.
Yeah.
After the main storyline sort of wraps itself up, they do a Scrubs season 9 where they try and keep it going. Right? They try and keep it going with a new storyline, new characters, and for me, that moment it just falls off a cliff. It needed to die, ironically, with the end of the main story. If it had, I would have put it higher. But because it didn't, I can't. I love the concept. It's such a unique idea. It's very interesting. Like, when you're first watching it, you're like, oh, okay, it's a thing. You write someone's name in a book and they die. Okay, it'd be interesting to see how the main character grapples with the idea of taking a life and not taking. Oh no, he's just going on a murdering spree. Okay, right. Okay, fair enough. It's that kind of show. So it's a great show. It really is. My number 7 is actually, despite how much I love isekai, which is reborn in another world sort of thing, this is the only isekai I have on the list. My number 7 is my next life as a villainess.
Okay, we were talking about this. I still haven't seen it.
For me, my next life as a villainess is just a fun watch. It's so fun to watch it. There are so many isekai that would be rated high. If I was doing like a top 10 isekai, it wouldn't be anywhere near the top. But it's just a fun watch. I've watched it so many times. It's the typical thing of, which has now been overdone, but at the time it hadn't been overdone, of reborn inside of like a dating game, a dating novel, all that kind of thing. But you're there as the villain, and you've got to try and avoid your death, right? It's been done so many times now, but I feel like this was one of the first ones to do it, and it did it so well because it's so easy with these kinds of shows to have it where like they end up sort of like in a relationship with the main love interest, even though they're the villain and all that kind of thing. This one, she is so determined to not die that she's not noticing that everybody's falling in love with her, and it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. It's a lot of fun. It's just funny, honestly.
Is it completed?
Intro, it's completed. They did a second season, which is nowhere near as good. Don't watch the second season. Okay. But the first season is fantastic. The opening theme gets my head bopping every single time. It's so good. It's so good. But
for the same reason as Death openings,
right? For the same reason as Death Note, it falls off a cliff. So I kind of had to.
Okay.
Had to put it low.
The second season bug.
Second season bug, yeah. Number 6, however, I should say, out of these lists, all of our top 10s are either things that we've completed or things we're fully caught up on in terms of the anime or the manga, depending on what we're doing. For me, I'm fully caught up on the anime. It's ongoing. My number 6 is Apothecary Diaries.
Okay.
Apothecary Diaries is incredible. It's so fun. It's your typical like K-drama, Chinese drama, like sort of show, but put into anime format. It's a lot of fun. It's very twisty-turny. There's elements of romance in it, but it's not at all
minimal.
The focus. Yeah, it's not at all the focus. It's a fun main character. It's just a lot of fun. It's imagine Doctor House, but in China. You know? Yeah. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's constantly like this very intelligent apothecary trying to figure out what's going on in this whole situation. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I agree.
Yeah. Number 5 is also a recent anime.
Okay.
Delicious in Dungeon.
Okay. Yep.
Delicious in Dungeon for me is if you are a D&D nerd, you love Delicious in Dungeon. Like Delicious in Dungeon, I can't say it because of my speech mode. Delicious in Dungeon is so much fun because it just screams chaotic D&D party, right? Where they're going through a dungeon, and one day one of them goes, I wonder what it'd be like to eat the monster. You know? And then just from there, it's an amazing show. There's a lot of incredible storytelling going on, and then every now and again they go, right, now let's eat the mer person.
The amount of times
so much.
The amount of times one of your top 10s has been on my I should watch that list, and Delicious in Dungeon is on there.
It's phenomenal. It really is. And I said, let's eat the mer person. There's an entire scene in the show where they're arguing over where do they draw the line, and they decide humanoids are no-goes. Right? Because they're arguing over what counts as a monster and what doesn't count as a monster.
You know, that's valid.
Yeah. So it's a very fun show, very charming story. It's just a lot of fun, and it breaks into my top 5 because of it.
Okay.
Number 4, anybody who's seen it has to rank it high. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay. Number 4 is JoJo's. I would put it higher, but JoJo's is just the best example of just watching something to laugh. Like, it's so funny. It's so slapstick. Normally I hate slapstick, but it's so funny. There's a story. There is an ongoing story, but let's face it, we're watching it for the funny effects, the funny sounds, the funny moments, you know. Mm-hmm. The no, yes, you know. There's so many funny iconic moments in JoJo. Like, it's so meme worthy that it's just an iconic show, and I love it. Now, if I'm ever bored, I watch it.
Now, have you watched the dub or the sub?
I've watched the sub because the dub is notoriously hard for me to get hold of.
Okay, because I was going to ask, which one would be funnier, the dub or the sub?
I don't know. I've not watched the dub.
Okay.
But I've heard the dub is good. But I'd be interested to see how they would pull off things like rah, 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 and that sort of thing. You know, how they pull off the rolling R's and all that comedy stuff. There are some shows that I've already mentioned that the dub is good. Apothecary Diaries' dub is good. Delicious in Dungeon's dub is good. It's definitely possible to watch these as dubbed, but I've never seen JoJo's dubbed, so I wouldn't know. But I will say, my top 3, all 3 of the dubs are good.
So, not to go too deep into it when it comes to the dub versus sub argument, I can't pick a side on that because some shows do better at one than the other. And some of them have both that are fantastic. Apothecary Diaries is one of them. It's
a great dub, yeah. I think dubbed anime is becoming rapidly better because it's gained so much popularity. Mm-hmm. For me, I always watched subbed, and then my fiance, she doesn't like watching subbed. If she can avoid subbed, she'll avoid it, which is understandable. But so we tend to watch dubbed. So I'm neither here nor there with it. Most of the ones on this list, if I've watched them dubbed, it's because I've watched it with her. Okay. But so I'm not in any camp really with it. I don't care. I just watch it to enjoy it. If the dub is horrendous, I won't watch the dub. But it's very rarely the case recently that I find a bad dub.
Okay.
So that's how I do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think with the rising popularity, it has made the dubs a lot better than they used to be. Some of them are horrendous, and that leads to funny moments, though.
It does. Like jelly-filled donuts, you know. Talking about Pokemon there, where he's eating onigiri, and they're like, oh, well, they won't know what onigiri are, so we'll call them donuts.
Or the Ghost Stories dub.
or the Ghost Stories dub, yeah. But my top 3, like I said, all 3 dubs are great. Okay. So my number 3 is my highest rated romance anime, which is Horimiya.
I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of Horimiya? It's a combination of the 2 characters' names. It's Hori and Mia, Horimiya. Okay. So the dub and the sub are both great. It's your high school romance. I'm too old now really to enjoy high school romance animes and stuff like that. I just don't gel with them as much. I try to go more for like the older romance anime, but Horimiya is great. It's the best representation of genuinely what it's like to be a teenager and in love that I've seen.
Okay.
Like, they show all the awkwardness. They show all the, like, oh, do they like me? Do they not like me? Oh, what's going on? Like, the first sort of time that you have, like, a proper relationship, that awkwardness is shown so perfectly in it. And it's a great show. It's fantastic. There's no, like, oh, big moment of, oh, I think we're going to break up, and oh, it's horrible, and all this kind of thing. It's just nice. It's just a nice show, and it's a very good representation of what it's like to be young and in love.
To be young.
Oh, God, don't. That was a long time ago for me. 20 years I've been watching anime again. 20 years.
Yeah.
And I started at about 15. Okay. My number 2, which is going to make some people go, why is that 2 and not 1? And it's going to make other people go, oh, really? You put it that high? One Piece.
There it is.
One Piece is my number 2. I will hold my hand up high and say that I was into One Piece, but never massively into One Piece until Em started watching it, and she's become an absolute mega fan of it. That was what motivated me to rewatch it and get to fully caught up. I will say I am fully caught up with the dub, not the sub, because it's one of those shows that Em has to watch dubbed. And one thing I will say is they have nailed the dub. Like, the dub is phenomenal.
They really have. A certain character's laugh. Ian Sinclair is the voice actor. For those who know, they know.
Yeah.
He has done that role so well that you have to give him props.
It's incredible. I don't know how. If you listen to the English voice actors and the Japanese voice actors, most of them are almost identical, which is so impressive. But even forgetting, like, the dub is really good and everything, the story is iconic. You know, it's been part of, like, fiction for 20 plus years for a reason. You know, it's approaching 30, isn't it?
1998 was the start of it, I believe.
It's 3 years off. It's 3 years off of 30 years.
It might have been 99.
It's very close to 30 years. And, like, the way that Emma's described it is, it's a modern Odyssey, which is correct. It is a modern Odyssey. You know, it's one never-ending story of just constantly, we go to this island and we fight people, we go to this island, we fight people, we go to this island, we fight people on the journey to the ultimate goal. And it's so good. It's so good. I don't know how, with over 1,000 episodes, he's managed to keep the lightheartedness going. I don't know how he's done it.
I would argue it's also one of the only anime to encompass so many topics. Like, if you can think of it, if there's a TV show that's not anime related that you like, it's probably in there.
Yeah, it's in there. There's so many pop culture references. There's so many references to, like, genuine like social issues going on in different countries, different parts of the world. There's so much. It's very tongue in cheek. It's very funny, but it's very serious at the same time. It's a masterpiece. It really is. And the only thing that could beat it, in my personal opinion, for my favorite anime, is Frieren.
Okay. Yep.
It's the only thing that could beat it, and the reason is because Frieren is the first anime I've sat down, watched it, and just gone, this is so nice to just sit and watch. Like, there's nothing particular. I'm not on the edge of my seat, but I'm not laid back falling asleep. You know, it's the perfect anime to just unwind to just watch and just enjoy the ride, which is the whole point of it, because she's finished her journey. She's already done her journey. Now this is what happens when the hero finishes their journey. You know, and it's such an amazing ride, and the only thing that could ever knock this off of number 1 for me and put it below One Piece is if it doesn't stick the landing with how it ends.
Yeah,
that's the only way it could be knocked off.
The season 2 bug.
The season 2 bug. Well, it's already done 2 seasons when we're filming this.
Technically, I mean, it's done a 24 episode run.
Yeah, it's done 24 episodes so far at the time of filming this. I know it's got a lot of backstory. It's just such beautiful world building. For me, it's potentially going to be one of the greatest anime ever.
Oh, yeah.
But we won't know until it's over. Like I said, the only thing that could knock this down off of number 1 is if it doesn't stick the landing.
I could agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my 10. That is my 10. It was very hard to make that 10. There's like 15 others that I could have put on the list.
It's so true.
Yeah, it would have been easier to do a top 50. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, or even an unranked. These are just my top anime.
Right. But we can. But the way that I've seen it is the honorable mentions and all that sort of thing. The ones who didn't make the list. When we do specific genres or stuff like that, that's when they'll come in.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
There's so many anime out there.
There's so many. But that's my 10. What about your 10?
Well, before we get into my 10, I'll go through my quick honorable mentions, which just turned into another top list. It's the top ones that almost made it into the main list.
The top almost made it. Yeah.
So my honorable mentions are completely unranked: Apothecary Diaries, Bleach, the quintessential quintuplets, Naruto, and Danmachi. Naruto obviously being iconic. It's the one that I officially learned was anime.
Yeah.
Obviously I've been watching a few of them before that. Danmachi, just because it's great. I enjoy the storyline that goes behind it, but it's not as important. The Quints, I don't know why I got so attached to the Quints. I think the struggle of, it's your typical, there's multiple interests and then they have to pick one. And then, of course, going through and finally learning who the one is, and you're just like, that's not the one I wanted.
That's not the one I wanted. I get
Bleach.
That,
Bleach is a love it or hate it. I loved it. I grew up watching it, and kind of like what you said with Apothecary Diaries.
Bleach didn't make the list. Didn't even make the honorable mentions for me because out of the big three, it flopped so hard in my opinion compared to the other two. Like, in terms of popularity for sure, but like I feel like it kind of lost its direction a little bit.
So I would say it's finished in the manga. The anime came back. I would say in the entire run of the manga, about 65 to 70% through, it just completely fizzled out for a good 20%.
Now, I'm interested why you didn't put Naruto on the list because I have a reason why I didn't put Naruto on my top 10. What was your reason?
My biggest reason is the meme. It's filler toe. Over half of the anime is filler. The manga, phenomenal. I own almost half of it. But there's so much filler.
It's the exact reason I didn't put it. Because it's just filler. Like, people joke about, One Piece has filler. One Piece does not have filler. Naruto has filler.
So there's two parts of Naruto. There's Naruto and there's Naruto Shippuden. Naruto has 150 episodes. It has 300 if you include the filler.
Yeah.
300.
Yeah.
And those 150 come after.
Don't even get us started on Boruto.
I watched 2 episodes and I canned it. Nope. Not going there. But either way, so here's my top 10 list. So we'll start off with number 10 with kind of a secluded one. Some people have heard of it, some people haven't. It's Samurai Champloo.
Oh, good choice.
So I learned about Samurai Champloo from a coworker at Burger King back at my first job. And I started watching it.
It's some lore here.
It's so good. It's hilarious. It's I don't even know how to describe it. It's hip hop, it's samurai, it's literally a fusion.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that's the one with Samuel Jackson in it, isn't it? In the dub.
Is he in it?
I think he's in the dub, yeah.
Where?
I'm pretty sure he's one of the dubbed characters. There is one where Samuel Jackson is.
Oh, that would have made it 10 times better. That would have like +1.
There is one, and it's bugging me now. Oh, Afro Samurai is Samuel Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Afro Samurai. Yeah.
But no, it's
either way,
such
still
a
great.
good one. So my number 9 is kind of back onto the samurai kick. It's Hell's Paradise, actually.
Ooh, okay.
It's a good show. Animation style is so good. I'm big into nature. I enjoy surrounding myself by different plant life and being outside camping. And the amount
he says from his basements, but yes.
It's true. Surrounded by complete tech and brick walls. I can do the best of both worlds. But either way, the flora that they have in there is so gorgeous. The way everything is drawn, it is literally a paradise in hell. And I just love it. I can't wait for season 2.
Good choice.
Another season 2 I can't wait for, and it's my number 8, Dandadan. So it's such a controversial. It's hilarious. So that's my slapstick anime. I enjoy One Punch Man, But my slapstick anime is Dandadan because there's more storyline to it. Whereas
fair.
One Punch is just, I'm the strongest, now what? And it's everybody existing around him.
Yeah, One Punch Man also had the curse of season 2 as well. Where season 2's not as good.
You haven't read the manga on it, have you?
No.
So season 3 is going to be almost like a part 2 to season 2.
Okay.
They go together, so I think splitting them like that was a bad choice.
Right. Okay.
But season 3 is going to lead into some good stuff for sure.
But Dan so far, you're loving it.
Oh, it's hilarious. The intro is in my top 3 intros or top 4 intros.
It's a good
It's
intro.
incredible. The memes that come out of it are hilarious. I mentioned the Ghost Stories dub. This is just that on steroids.
It's on purpose.
Oh yeah.
It's on purpose
It's hilarious.
as well.
I can't stop laughing at it.
Yeah.
It's one of the few animes that I got the missus to watch, and she absolutely adores it because of how slapsticky it is.
Love it.
But speaking of another, not slapstick, but kind of a comedic one, it's my number 7, which is Air Gear.
Ooh, that's a throwback.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Loved Air Gear.
So so many good anime got canned back in the day. So the anime is finished, but that's because they canceled it.
Yeah, they did.
I read all 300 chapters of the manga, and it's such an incredible watch. They were doing a really good job of the anime too.
Air Gear is such it's such a weird one to explain to people as well, because it's just roller skating.
Yeah.
But competitive.
What do they do roller derbies in the UK?
Yeah.
Where they basically they skate around and they're fully padded up and they just like shove and push.
Slam into each other and everything. It's that on steroids.
Yeah, no, 100%. If you could think of the most tech advanced way to do roller derbies, that's what it is. And there's no rink; it's the city.
It's roller gangs.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's so weird.
It's so funny too.
It's the first anime that I watched where I was gutted that it was cancelled. I was so sad. I was like, "Where's the rest?" It's like there isn't anymore. Oh.
Yep. So my number 6 is a currently going one, and that is Solo Leveling.
Oh, good shout.
Yeah, I think it's my number 6 because one, it's phenomenal storyline. Everything's going so well, but they're also doing a fantastic job of converting the written content into anime. Like they've had one filler episode so far, which I didn't even watch because I'm against filler. But they've done such a good job at showing the pivotal moments in the series. They've really outdone themselves, and I can't wait for it to continue.
I agree. It's a really good show. The only reason I didn't have that on my list is because I thought one season wasn't really enough to judge it on.
Okay, that's mine definitely comes from having read the entire series, and I cannot, even for the end of season 2, I can't wait. I want to see how they do it. So it's an anticipation thing for me.
Yeah.
My number 5 is actually a movie. I feel you can't have a list without having a Ghibli mention in there, and mine is actually one of the few that I've seen, which is Spirited Away. It was.
I knew you. As soon as you said Ghibli, I was going to say Spirited Away.
Yes. Well, so it was my intro into the Ghibli-verse, and I enjoy it so much. It's kind of goes on to really all of the Miyazaki films. They are so well drawn. There's so many little details. I love the animation style that goes behind it. It's storyline is interesting, but I mean, honestly, it's a classic that I could watch multiple times. I've seen it at least, a dozen times already.
Have you seen Boy and the Heron yet?
I have not. My sister-in-law watched it.
I really
said it was really good.
It. My intro to Ghibli was Princess Mononoke. It was on. It was on television, like just randomly one evening, and I watched it. I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!"
Toonami.
No, there's a channel I don't know if it still exists I think it does in the UK called Film 4, and they always did a thing where every year they do like they do like a week of anime films, and Princess Mononoke was on there. That was my first one. That was really good.
Okay.
But I feel like Spirited Away would be a more fun way to be introduced to Ghibli than the Mononoke.
Yeah. My favorite scene is honestly just when they're on the train and they're going out to the witch's twins' house, and just the ocean. The ocean is so gorgeous.
So pretty. So pretty. So pretty.
For the ocean alone, I should honorable mention, what is it, Gargantia, Adventure on the Verdurous Planet.
Our 10 most beautiful moments. Ghibli, 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 ghibli.
So, funnily enough, if we're going to jump up to my number 4, which I would consider a more beautiful anime movie, and it is not Ghibli, it is Your Name.
Oh, I knew you were going to say Your Name. Oh, you are such a Your Name fanatic.
Yes. So, I am a creature of habit. I had the Your Name movie poster as my phone background for 6 years. Would not change it. I still have it saved in my phone in case I want to go.
The amount I've heard this man say Your Name. At the beginning, I thought he just forgot what my name was. But oh my god, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it's not higher, to be honest.
So Makoto Shinkai is the director of Your Name, Garden of Words, Spirited Away, not Spirited Away. What is it? Weathering with You and Suzume, a bunch of them. He does such a fantastic job with the visuals. Everything, it's based on real places, so you can go visit these places. The food in Garden of Words is good, but Your Name, top tier anime movie. Probably my favorite anime movie.
It's a phenomenal movie. It really is. It's a really, really phenomenal movie. It's one of the few anime movies I've watched and been like fully like hooked on as I'm watching it. It's really, really good. I'm not surprised it's in your top 10.
Number 3 is probably going to surprise you at why it's number 3.
Probably not.
It's actually
it's go on. Go on. I know what you can say. Go on.
It's One Piece.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So
the One Piece fan hasn't put it at number 1. Okay, go on.
So the reason why it's my number 3 and not number 2 or even number 1 is just because I have more emotional connections to the top 2. But it's such a phenomenal anime. You touched on it. It's got everything in it. The storyline, even the backstories, how they do it. Everything is so interconnected. Yeah. It's a big ball of yarn. You're gonna pull something and it's getting connected somewhere else. Yeah, everything is so well done.
Oh, the amount of throwbacks he does. Where it's like, remember that thing that you thought wasn't relevant and now suddenly it's very relevant. If you're new to watching One Piece, don't skip Skypiea.
Okay, so I will admit Skypiea is a very slow and boring arc. It is so pivotal.
Yeah, it's too stretched. It's too stretched out, but it's so important. Later on, it's crucial.
The missus hates it. What I had to do for her is, since I've seen it, I've watched One Piece 4 times over. I've read it 3 times over. Like, I know One Piece. I skipped through. I've skipped through Skypiea for her. I edited out all the pacing issues, so that way she could get the moment she needed without being stuck.
Did you not just show her the One Piece version of it?
She hates anything subbed.
Oh, fair. She's the same. Yeah, I need it dubbed. Yep. Right.
Why? I was elected to lead, not to read.
Alright, so One Piece is your number 3. I have an inkling as to what's going to be in your 2 or your 1, but go on.
You already know what my next 2 are. I know for a fact that you do. It's just the order.
Yeah.
So, my number 2 is actually Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay, that's 2, not 1. All right.
Yep. So, since we already know what's coming with the number 1, my number 1 is Frieren.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it is.
Exquisite taste, my man.
It was so hard not spoiling what my number 1 was when you did it.
Yeah.
Frieren is such a phenomenal anime. I think it's one of the few that has got the pacing nailed down. Yeah, it enjoys the little things because that's what it's all about, is her learning about the little things.
Yeah, her coming to terms with everything afterwards and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I don't tell too many people about it just because it's not something that I talk about. It's never been brought up. But Frieren actually made me want to start a journal. And actually start like documenting things and whatnot, because there is a scene, I won't say it's majorly a spoiler, it's just a little side scene where there's an older man and he says he can't remember what his wife looks like, but he can remember certain things about her. And and it made me think, there's going to come a time when I'm not going to remember things, and I would like to document that. I would like to enjoy the little things as they happen.
Yeah, one of the great things about Frieren is the fact that because she's an elf, and so everything happens slower for her than for other people. One of the great things is seeing her realize how finite some people's time is, and then also her realizing feelings that she has about characters way after they've expressed their feelings for it. It's definitely interesting. Why Dragon Ball Z number 2 though? Why is that not number 1? Why is Frieren above it?
I have such a stronger connection to Frieren. Dragon Ball Z is my nostalgia anime because backstory, we say when we knew that we were watching an anime, I didn't know Dragon Ball Z was an anime when I first started watching it. I've been watching it since I was about 4.5, 5 years old. I was introduced to it really young because of a family member. But Dragon Ball Z, it was so hard putting it as the number 2. But for me, I just have to narrow it down. I think the storyline is better in Frieren. I think the overall anime itself is a better anime than Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z is my nostalgia anime. It's pivotal to me. Matt's mentioned it before. I've met the cast. I've met a dozen of them. I've got their autographs. I've got pictures. I've got videos of them doing voice lines specifically for me. Dragon Ball Z has been my life. But I think Frieren just tops it out because it's the better anime.
Yeah, I feel like you said, I think Dragon Ball has made the list for you purely from nostalgia, because for me, I couldn't put it on the list because, let's be honest, it's the original filler anime. It's the original filler. Like, they don't have filler necessarily, but they drag everything out.
Oh yeah.
Namek's going to explode in 5 minutes. 20 episodes later.
Yeah.
For me, I can't not have Naruto on the list, but then argue Dragon Ball's on the list for anything other than how it makes me feel about watching it.
Honestly, if it wasn't my nostalgia anime, it wouldn't have made the top 10. It's just, for me, it's played such a pivotal role. I have so much merch, all my collections. I've got display cases of stuff.
But that's why it's our favorite, not best. It's our favorite.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's my personal connection to it. But I mean, my wallpaper is Frieren. Actually, my phone's wallpaper right now is not your name, it's Dandadan, just because I think it's funny. It's a meme.
Oh, he finally changed it. He finally changed it.
Oh, don't act like it's not saved on another page.
Oh, I know. I have pictures of my family, my child. He has your name.
I have your name. I have your name. I have my cats, and I have Dandadan.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. His wife doesn't make the cut.
That's fine. Hers is the cats too.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a great list. Honestly, I'm all of the ones you've put on the list are ones that I was considering if they're not also on my list.
It's so hard.
Yeah. That's such a hard list to make because favorite anime, it's so broad. If we'd done favorite romance or favorite action or something, it'd be a lot easier to make the lists, I think. But favorite, that's so hard, man.
Oh, and it's a personable. Every person is different. They have their own connections to it. One person might put One Piece is the number 3. One might say they hate the show altogether.
Exactly. If you're doing most influential, then things like Dragon Ball and One Piece and stuff will skyrocket to the top.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes down to personal preference, it's so hard to make a list,
That's fine. I'll die on the hill. Dragon Ball opened the door so everybody else could walk through.
It really did. It's one of those things. It's one of those iconic shows, right? I feel like the way that I've always looked at it is Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and that sort of stuff. That is the gateway into modern fantasy. It's what sort of set the bar for modern fantasy. It changed the game so much for the fantasy genre. Dragon Ball changed anime forever.
Oh yeah.
It changed anime forever. Dragon Ball was there are other examples, don't get me wrong, but Dragon Ball was the first one that made it across to the West and dominated. Absolutely dominated. There are countries that when Toriyama died, they had a national day of mourning.
Oh yeah. That was a worldwide event.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball has literally touched so many people over the years. Yes, there's other anime that are also monumental. I would still say that's one of the fathers of anime.
Yeah. So if we're both saying that Frieren is our number one, above One Piece and all that kind of thing, then, you know,
go watch it.
Go watch it. You won't regret it.
I did the thing of while I was waiting for each episode to come out, I would watch every episode up to it. I watched it every single week.
You Game of Thrones it?
Yeah.
You Game of Thrones it.
It was so good. I couldn't stop.
Wow, I knew so many people with Game of Thrones who would watch all of the episodes up until the next episode, and then they'd do the same the next week, and the same the next week, and the same the next week. You did that for Frieren?
I did every single week.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive. But what about you guys? What would be your favorite anime? What would be your top 10? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the Discord if you want to join Discord. There's a link in the description. If you have any more lists that you'd like us to go through, let us know in the comments or in the Discord. We have a recommended section in the Discord for you to recommend things to us. Thank you for liking, for subscribing, for sharing if you shared it. And yeah, until the next list or the next video.
Bye.